Welcome to another edition of HorseCenter, everyone. I'm Brian Zipsy, and as always, I'm joined by the best turf blogger in the business, Matt Schiffman. How are you, Matt?
I'm great. I'm glad we're back doing HorseCenter. We missed a week there. I didn't quite know what to do with all my time.
We're back, and we're better than ever. And today, Matt, we have a special edition of the Eclipse Awards for everyone to enjoy. We're going to discuss the Eclipse Awards that need to be decided soon. As always, back in Louisville, we can't do this without our help from Louisville, and that's Ember Marr. Hi, Ember.
Hi, guys.
Matt, let's jump right into the big Stromboli. Of course, I'm talking about the Horse of the Year award. I think we were in agreement on our choice for the Horse of the Year if the season ended after the Breeders' Cup, and we liked the undefeated in 2014 Turf Horse, the big import main sequence, as our choice for the Horse of the Year. That could be changing, though, as another horse or two may have a race before the season's out.
Yeah, I think that we both agreed with Main Sequence that, he was perfect. And as far as I'm concerned, perfect is perfect, especially when it's all grade ones. And it's interesting that things have changed a little bit with the Horse of the Year. It used to pretty much be that the Breeders' Cup Classic was the measuring stick, but it's been a whole bunch of years lately since a Breeders' Cup Classic winner has won the Horse of the Year.
Yeah, Zenyatta had a narrow miss, and of course, Wise Dan has kind of lessened the impact of the Breeders' Cup Classic the last few years. This year, I think the Breeders' Cup Turf might be the one that decides the award, or the winner is going to get the award. But I see a couple negatives if you are a Main Sequence supporter. First off, maybe for a positive, I think he might see the split vote between the 3-year-old males, which could help Main Sequence get it. But on the other hand, Main Sequence has only started 4 times. Is that enough to be Horse of the Year? And one of the negatives, I think, to California Chrome especially was, well, he hasn't won in the second half of the year. If he goes out to Del Mar, wins the Hollywood Derby, does that change things in your eyes, Matt?
I think it certainly will open a lot of people's eyes. And when you were saying about the length of the campaign, I think that's one of the big pluses for Bayern is the long campaign that he's had, all the different tracks, traveling back and forth across the country. That's a big plus for him. So I think with California Chrome, that's going to make things really interesting.
Yeah, and California Chrome certainly has done that to an extent. Don't forget he won 5 stakes races the first 5 months of the year. Maybe another thing going against Main Sequence in this Horse of the Year race is, of course, dirt is the big surface in America. Turf is our secondary surface, although that hasn't mattered lately. Now, if Main Sequence does win the Horse of the Year, what about the 3-year-old championship? I think that's a real good question. Some people would still say shared belief, he didn't get a fair shake. But I don't think that's very realistic. I think it's coming down to California Chrome or Bayern.
I think it's a great question, and as far as I see it, California Chrome has history on his side in terms of the horses that have won the Derby and the Preakness for many, 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 many years have won the Eclipse Award. But Bayern does have the recency and the Classic win. And then you throw in what you brought up before, Brian, with California Chrome making the try on the turf in the Hollywood Derby. It kind of reminds me a little bit of what happened last year with Princess of Silmar. You get into that whole risk versus reward thing with California Chrome. I think Chrome's got a shot at the 3-year-old championship as things stand. But a bad showing in that turf event, I think, probably will knock him right out of the picture. A good showing in that turf event could lock up the 3-year-old championship for him.
Yeah, I'm with you, Matt. I think this is the perfect example of risk-reward if you're talking about the Eclipse Awards. California Chrome wins the Hollywood Derby. Suddenly he's got that nice second-half win. The Breeders' Cup Classic certainly was a very good performance by California Chrome, albeit a losing one. If he wins it, he might be 3-year-old champion. He might be Horse of the Year. If he loses it, and that record in the second half of the year is now 0 for 4, I think he might have lost both a chance at both awards. So that's interesting. Now, I want to mention one thing. If you looked at the nominations for a bigger race than the Hollywood Derby, in my eyes, and that's the Clark coming up at Churchill Downs over next weekend, Thanksgiving weekend, one of the names listed there was Bayern. Now, Baffert has a history of bringing horses in to Churchill Downs on Thanksgiving for the Clark. He's won it before. He's won it before with a 3-year-old. So maybe he's in the same boat. Does his Clark win for Bayern outdo a Hollywood Derby win for California Chrome?
That's a great question. And is the risk side for Bayern even greater? Is a loss in the Clark just what a lot of voters would need to say, okay, now I really don't have to vote for Bayern. I can vote for Main Sequence, or I can vote for California Chrome, and do that pretty easily.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think a loss by Bayern would give a lot of people who thought maybe he should have come down in the Breeders' Cup Classic more ammunition to do just that and say, well, maybe he proved today in the Clark by losing he's not the 3-year-old champion. He's not the horse of the year. What happens if they both lose? That makes Main Sequence an easier pick for horse of the year. But what about the 3-year-old championship? Do they both lose the 3-year-old championship? Is that possible?
And then it goes to shared belief then? Whew. I didn't even think about that possibility.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. If these trainers and these owners are kind of chasing that Eclipse Award because it's such a close race, it'll be interesting to see what 2 losses would do. So I guess what we're saying, Matt, is as of today, we both like Main Sequence for the horse of the year. I think we've both kind of gone to California Chrome now as the 3-year-old of the year, but both of those awards are still up in the air depending on what happens next weekend, Hollywood Derby, perhaps the Clark. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's great.
Now, in the 3-year-old, I don't think there's any sort of mystery left. Is there, Matt?
I don't think so. That has to be a unanimous award for Untappable, unless some voter does something so wacky that I couldn't even imagine what it would be.
I think they'd have to be smoking that wacky tobacco, Matt. Untappable was 6 for 6 against fillies this year, all graded stakes, all pretty much dominant. You know, her last 2 weren't as dominant as the early ones, but she certainly was queen of American racing this year. And I'm with you. She's unanimous in the 3-year-old filly. Stop Charging Maria, Sweet Reason, a few other fillies had decent years, but this division is Untappable all by herself.
Absolutely.
2-year-olds. Let's talk 2-year-olds, Matt. You ready? This is the future of racing.
Yeah, it's great, and particularly the 2-year-old male division had some good stuff going on at the end of the year.
Well, let me ask you right away, if you were going to predict the 2-year-old male Eclipse Award, and I don't know that there's anything that's going to change this, because it looks like both Texas Red and American Pharoah probably won't race for the rest of 2014. Who is your choice for the 2-year-old male champion?
I'm going to go with the Breeders' Cup winner. I'm going to go with Texas Red. I love the race that he ran. I love that style of running, and he was there at the end. He won the big one. Can't take anything away from American Pharoah when I'm saying that. I mean, he's got a tremendous future also. His races were fantastic, but Texas Red won the juvenile.
Texas Red won the juvenile. He won it in style, Matt, but he's also only 2 of 5 in 2014. He's also only won a maiden race besides the Breeders' Cup Classic. The Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Is the Breeders' Cup Juvenile the be-all, end-all division? Of course not. Is it the biggest race? Yes, it is. Does it outdo 2 Grade 1s at 2 different tracks and 2 impressive wins by American Pharoah? I'm going to say no. My choice, I like Texas Red a little bit better going into next year as a 1.25 mile horse, the son of a Fleet Alex. But my choice for the 2-year-old champion this year, Matt, is American Pharoah. You know, he won the Del Mar Futurity at 7 furlongs. Very fast, very impressive. He came back and did the same thing in the front runner. Both are Grade 1 races. That's 2 Grade 1 wins to 1 Grade 1 win for Texas Red. even a dummy like me knows two is better than one. And you know, if you're just saying, well, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile is worth those two Grade Ones, then we can go to head to head. And of course, American Pharoah has Texas Red on the mark there in the front runner. Texas Red was third that day. American Pharoah won easy. That's why I think he's the 2-year-old champion.
Yeah, we'll see. That could be one of the closer votes.
Closer votes. And the 2-year-old filly award, I think, is getting a little bit more interesting. Now, honestly, if I had to pick my favorite filly of this year, it would be Top Decile. I thought she ran huge in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. She didn't have the best trip, but as a maiden winner and then second at both Keeneland in the Grade Ones and second to Take Charge Brandy in the Juvenile Fillies, there's no chance that Top Decile gets the award. So what are we thinking? Are we thinking a turf horse for this award?
Well, you know, I think that if when you and I talked about this last, I think it was a little clearer, but now with Take Charge Brandy going to run another race down at Delta Downs, she gets another big win there. Kind of changes the whole way of thinking. But again, with Lady Eli, who was just amazingly impressive in the juvenile filly turf, it's just another one of those kind of indications of the progress that turf racing has made in our country over the last 3, 4, 5 years, with Horse of the Years being turf horses, and now for us to even be considering a juvenile title going to a turf horse, wow, that's a whole new realm of things in our country.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I think it's a good thing, Matt. I think if you only have one award, because there is no such thing as a 2-year-old filly turf award, Lady Eli, you know, up until this point has been the best 2-year-old filly in the country. She won impressively a maiden race at Saratoga. Her stakes win at Belmont was breathtaking, and then she just exploded through the rail in the Breeders' Cup to win the Juvenile Fillies turf. 3 for 3. She should be the champion. Now, Take Charge Brandy has won the biggest race of anything in this division, because the Juvenile Fillies is bigger than the Juvenile Turf Fillies. However, she did lose 4 times after a maiden win. So her record is 2 of 6. I don't think we'd have any question. Like you said, I don't think we'd have any question that it would be Lady Eli today. The Delta Downs Princess is a Grade 3 race. It's a $400,000 race to be run Saturday. Is that enough? If she wins that race, is that enough? 3 for 7. The Delta Downs race, the Breeders' Cup race at 60 to 1 to win the award. I'm still not sure, but I have a feeling if the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies winner comes back and kind of validates that win with a reasonably big win in Vinton, Louisiana, it might be.
Yeah, I agree, and again, this whole dirt versus turf thing that's going to come up again, I think, in our discussions later on, really has kind of changed the whole Eclipse scene. And I don't know, maybe it's pointing to that the awards that we give out, maybe in the future there needs to be some modification.
Modification, maybe less, maybe more, maybe there's too many. I don't think we need a whole slew of turf awards, frankly. So we have enough already in my mind, but it is an interesting question, and we'll see how much more important dirt is than turf in this country if Take Charge Brandy does get that second stakes win this Saturday. Since we're talking about turf, let's keep rolling with the turf. Who was the male turf champion the last 2 years, Matt? That's a little trivia question for you.
Yeah, and it sure makes this discussion, the background of the discussion for top turf horse, interesting. Of course, it's Wise Dan, and we love Wise Dan, and I know I talked so much about how much I appreciate what Wise Dan did this year, and it's going to be interesting. Is Wise Dan still going to get votes for top turf male horse over main sequence?
I think the answer to that question is yes, because I think there's such a sentimental favoritism that's going to go to Wise Dan over the the expatriate and then the import main sequence. And in truth, both of them won 4 graded stakes. Both of them won in pretty thrilling style most of those races. Wise Dan returned from an injury, 2-time Horse of the Year, 2-time Turf, and he was 4 for 4 in graded stakes, most of them grade ones. It's hard not to give Wise Dan his due.
But yeah, I love Wise Dan, and everything you said is true, Brian. But you can't vote for Wise Dan this time. You have to vote for main sequence.
I agree. I agree. Because what this award is it's a 2014 award, Matt. And if you stack the 4 races that main sequence won up to the 4 races, they're both 4 for 4. They're both undefeated. But the 4 races main sequence won are just a little bit bigger than Wise Dan's wins. That's enough for me.
That's enough for me too. But although we know sentimental views spanning back to a year before has influenced some pretty big Eclipse Award decisions in the past. So
Zenyatta blame Horse of the Year? Well, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, main sequence will not. I'm going to go out and make a prediction. Main sequence will not be a unanimous winner of this award. Fair enough?
I will agree with you on that. And I can't wait to see how close it will be.
Interesting. All right. Turf female. I think we agree on this one. I think it was kind of a light division where a lot of different horses won a stake, maybe 2 stakes. None of the huge stakes this year, the Beverly D or the Diana or the Flower Ball, were won by horses who won another big one. So when the First Lady winner, the Grade 1 First Lady at Keeneland winner, Day at the Spa, came back and blitzed the field in the Breeders' Cup Turf female, filly mare Turf, I think that pretty much clinched the award for the New York bred.
Yeah, I agree. And I was just going to say what you said. Let's give an Eclipse Award to a New York bred.
New York bred winner. There you go. All right, so we don't need to spend time on that. Main sequence and Day at the Spa are 2 Turf Award winners. How about the specialists at shorter distances, Matt? Female sprinter. This award looks a little bit like the female turf, I guess, huh?
Yeah, with you get not only a great performance by Judy the Beauty in the female sprint at the Breeders' Cup, but you get to throw in that sentimental element also, because I think people are really happy to get to vote again for Judy the Beauty.
Yeah, she was second in the Breeders' Cup sprint, filly mare sprint last year to Groupie Doll. She ran a very good race. By no means do I think she was the leader of the division the morning of the Breeders' Cup, but she was in the running. She was at least one of the ones mentioned. So when she won in a game performance over Better Lucky, the Breeders' Cup filly and mare sprint, game, set, match, she's your female sprinter of the year.
I would vote for her also.
Okay, so does that also go for the male sprinter? Work All Week also had a nice win, and then he came to the Breeders' Cup. But I'm going to throw in another name, Matt, that maybe some people have thought of, but a lot of people aren't mentioning for the Sprinter of the Year. What about Golden Sense as the Sprinter of the Year?
And you know, why not? A lot of people consider the mile part of it's got that ambiguity part of it, and a lot of people consider that an extended kind of sprint race. And Golden Sense, and I know we talked about it before, Golden Sense was just amazing in the dirt mile. So I think that's I think that's a good question to throw in there. And the Work All Week, the Illinois bred, or how are people going to feel about that? Same kind of situation. I think going into the sprint, Work All Week was not a candidate, but now all of a sudden he's a deserving candidate for the Male Sprinter Award.
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit there, Matt. I think Work All Week was just like Judy the Beauty. He was one of the ones. He was a little bit overlooked, I think, in the betting in the race, but he was good at Oaklawn this year. He was good in Chicago. He won the big sprint at Keeneland. So I think he was in the discussion at least. And then when he won the Breeders' Cup Sprint, I think he won the award. Golden Sense, massive performance in the Pat O'Brien at 7 furlongs. Just missed We might be speaking differently here if the foreign horse, the horse's name is escaping me. That Rich Tapestry hadn't beaten him by a nose in the Santa Anita Sprint Championship. But Golden Sense only won one sprint race. And hey, this Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, at least at Santa Anita, it's 2 turns.
Yes, absolutely.
Give it to Work All Week, Illinois bred.
Yeah, I would vote for Work All Week also.
All right. We're agreeing a lot, but at least we have some disagreements. I like that. All right. Now, here's one thing that I think that we may disagree on, or I don't know, maybe we'll agree on. We're going to get to the older awards. We haven't touched on the older male award. We haven't touched on the older female award. Now, the last 2 years, Wise Dan was the turf male of the year. He was the horse of the year, but he was also the older male of the year. People say, well, yeah, sure, he was the best older male the last 2 years. But I wonder, you know, there's a turf award. Why isn't there a dirt award?
And I think that this is just, you know, this goes along with what I was saying before. In the last 4 or 5 years, the times have changed in racing. Turf racing has become far more of a significant factor than it was before. Go ahead, win the top turf award, win Horse of the Year as Wise Dan did. I think, and I think we agree on this. I think the older male awards, male and female, should be changed to officially be called the older dirt male and the older dirt female. And then if that's what it turns out to be, then the decision for Horse of the Year can come between the best of those dirt horses and the best of those turf horses. But I don't think it serves anything, anybody, any group well to see a horse like Wise Dan, or for that matter, Main Sequence, win 3 Eclipse Awards. 2's enough. Top turf horse, Horse of the Year.
I'm with you, Matt. I'm with you 100%. I think this is how it used to be done. Maybe it was called handicap horse in the past, but you had a turf winner, you had a handicap winner, a dirt winner, and then the 2 could duke it out for Horse of the Year if they were the best 2 horses there. So this needs to change. It needs to be an older turf award, an older dirt award, and then maybe there are Horse of the Year implications for one of those 2 or both of those 2. But no, Wise Dan swept it last year. He got the older and the older turf. Main Sequence may do the same thing this year. I guess by last 2 years, we have to say Main Sequence is the older male. But what if it was an older dirt male?
Yeah, if it was older dirt male, then we have to start thinking about the Palace Malice campaign. And also then does Golden Sense come into this discussion here?
Yeah, okay, Matt, let's do this. We've decided. We're going to say that there is an older award for dirt horses and turf horses. You and I, this is our award now. We're taking over. Main Sequence won the turf. Day at the Spa won the turf female.
Yep.
Older male, ooh, is that a tough decision for me? Golden Sense, yeah, he's in this division, I think. He ran it 2 turns a few times, and he won the 2-turn dirt mile. I'm waffling on which one gets it. Another reason I think that Main Sequence is going to get it. But in our older male dirt award, I've decided that Palace Malice 4 wins out of 5 races trumps Golden Sense 2 out of 5, even though Golden Sense's 5 races were all terrific. And the fact that he won head-to-head in the Met Mile.
Yeah, and you know, I'm going to stick up for Golden Sense a little bit here, surprisingly maybe. Those wins by Palace Malice, how many grade 1s in there, Brian?
Grade 1s was 1.
1 grade 1. And Golden Sense won the dirt mile again on the biggest stage. And that was an awesome performance. And I think we both felt that performance by Golden Sense was just an awesome, gutsy, all-out performance. And I know Palace Malice wasn't in there, but it was as impressive a race as Palace Malice's win in his Grade 1 Met Mile.
So are we split on our Older Dirt Award? We're giving our own Older Dirt Award here, Matt. I say Palace Malice by a nostril over Golden Sense. Are you Golden Sense?
You know what? I don't want anybody to accuse me of having an East Coast bias. I'm going Golden Sense.
No one would ever accuse you of that. All right, so we're split on our Older Dirt Award. That's right, folks, Older Dirt. How about Older Dirt for the females? Date the Spa may very well carry the older female. Maybe she won't. You know, a filly hasn't won this award too often. Who's the best Older Dirt female this year?
Again, you know, I think we run into the recency issue. I know Close Hatch's performances at the end of the year were disappointing, but wow, her performances in the beginning of the season were awfully impressive, and maybe enough to still call her the best Older Dirt female.
Yeah, I think that would be the popular thinking, Matt. Interestingly, the two females that I think are really up for this award, you know, there's several in the ballpark, but I think it's between Don't Tell Sophia and Close Hatches. They're both 4 out of 6 this year. Close Hatches has more graded stakes wins. She beat Don't Tell Sophia down in Oaklawn earlier this year when she was kind of loose on the lead. Don't Tell Sophia beat Close Hatches in the Spinster when she won the Spinster going away, and then she beat her in the Breeders' Cup Distaff, but Don't Tell Sophia only was getting up for second that day. So head-to-head, it's 2-1 Don't Tell Sophia. They're both 4 out of 6. Close Hatches won more graded races, and of course we can't forget the Phipps, which was maybe the best older female race of the year. So I think I would lean towards Close Hatches narrowly.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. And I thought that Don't Tell Sophia's performance in the Distaff, that was an impressive run she was making at the end. And let's remember, that was untappable out in front of her. But I think I would narrowly lean towards Close Hatches also.
All right, on this one we agree. So that's our Eclipse Awards. We had the Horse of the Year, the 3-year-old championship, still to be determined, although we said main sequence and California Chrome as of right now, untappable in a landslide. We split our vote on the 2-year-old male with Texas Red and American Pharaoh. We both like Lady Eli's chances, but we're wondering if Take Charge Brandy wins in Louisiana, if that will change. Turf Horse main sequence over Wise Dan. Sorry, folks, all you Wise Dan fans. Turf female, Day at the Spa. Female sprinter, Judy the Beauty. Sprinter, we both went with the Illinois-bred Work All Week, who's never lost a race on dirt, Matt. We both agree that there should be an Older Dirt Award for males and females instead of just an older male and female award. And in that case, we split the vote, Palace Malice and Golden Sense. And our older females, we both said it should be Close Hatches. Anything else to add to the 2014 Eclipse Awards, Matt?
You know, again, like you said, I'm looking forward to, now that we've talked about it and put all those possibilities out there, I'm looking forward to those final races this year to see if it's going to make the discussion and the debate as we head into January even more interesting.
That's right, and we're I know I am, at least I'm susceptible to changing my mind, and certainly at least 2 or 3 of those races could help change my mind. Matt, before we end this discussion on the awards show, the Eclipse Awards preview on HorseCenter, we should mention the Europeans. And the Cartier Awards went out last week. And who was the big winner? It was much like we've had in the United States the last 2 years, where the miler carried the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was quite, you know, that was a tough award to pick because you had some awesome horses that over there in Europe that didn't win the top horse award, like Australia and the Grey Gatsby. So that was a feather in the cap of the Horse of the Year in Europe. You want to announce it, Brian?
Yeah, the Cartier Award winner, of course, for 3-year-old and for Horse of the Year was Kingman, who only lost one race this year, and he was second that time. I kind of expected him to get the award, but yeah, there was competition. Now, if I was going to pick the Horse of the Year, I guess it's after the fact now, I would have picked Kingman, but my second pick would have been the horse that did get the older award, and he's the same ownership, of course, as Kingman. That's Noble Mission, Frankel's full brother. Noble Mission had a great year ending with the Champion Stakes win, and he got the older award over Trev, the female who won the Arc again, but was a little bit inconsistent this year. So Kingman beat out Australia the Great Gatsby for the 3-year-old championship. He beat out his stablemate. So if you don't like Kingman, I think it might have gone to his stablemate for Horse of the Year, Noble Mission.
Yeah, it was a great year of racing over across the pond also.
As usual. All right, that's it. I hope you enjoyed our. We'll see how the Eclipse Awards turn out. Thank you, Matt.
My pleasure, as always, Brian.
Remember to like us on Facebook, Horse Racing Nation and Derby Wars. Follow us on Twitter. That's HR_Nation and at Derby Wars. Thanks again for being with us. Say goodnight, Ember.
Good night, Ember.
Good night, Ember.